Your cat has already chosen their favorite person, and it is not who you think. Not the one who feeds them, not the one who cuddles them most. It is the one who does one specific thing that almost no owner ever knows about. Today, I will show you exactly how this mechanism works, which signs tell you that you are the chosen person, and the mistakes that destroy that trust without you ever noticing. Let us start. How cats choose. Let us start with the mechanism, because understanding the mechanism is everything. When a cat is evaluating a human being, they are not thinking. They are reading continuously, like a measuring instrument that never switches off. They read the rhythm of your movements, the consistency of your voice, the predictability of your reactions. It is as if they have an internal sensor that registers every variable in the environment and builds a real-time safety map. And the person who comes out as most readable on that map, not the most affectionate one, not the most present one, becomes the cat's emotional reference point. For years, the common belief has sounded something like this: feed a cat well, and you will have them on your side. But research on feline social behavior tells us something different. Food opens the door, emotional safety decides who gets to walk through it. Think about how this works between human beings. Have you ever met someone and felt immediately at ease with them without being able to explain why? And then someone else who, despite being perfectly kind, left you in a state of low, quiet tension? You were not analyzing that person. You were reading them. That is exactly what cats do with every person, every day, without ever stopping, not random, constant calculation, not food, safety. First point, a cat does not choose the person who loves them most. They choose the person who makes them feel safest. And this is the trap almost every cat owner falls into at some point. The person who desperately wants the cat's attention moves closer, calls them, searches for them, reaches out every chance they get. They think the more affection I give, the more I receive. The cat registers something completely different. They register unpredictability. They register pressure. They register an environment that requires constant vigilance. Research on attachment behavior in domestic cats shows something that sounds counterintuitive the first time you hear it. Cats show a clear preference for interactions they perceive as self-initiated, not by us, by them. Translated into practice, it is simple. A cat trusts the person who lets them arrive on their own terms. Think of a scene you may have witnessed yourself. One person picks the cat up whenever they feel like it. Another person sits down on the floor, opens a book, and does not look for anyone. The cat almost always walks over to the second person by themselves, in their own time. This is not magic. This is the mechanism working exactly as it should. Think of it like a door your cat must be allowed to open from their side. If you push it open for them, they may step back. But if you wait, they may choose to walk through it on their own. The same routine every day. Second point, routine is not a detail. It is the language in which a cat learns that you are reliable. And this is the point almost nobody considers. Cats develop expectations based on repeated sequences, not in the rigid sense of the word routine. They do not need a clock. They need a pattern. The tone of voice a person uses when they wake up in the morning, the rhythm of their movements in the kitchen, the way they acknowledge the cat before doing anything else. All of this goes on to the map. All of it gets registered. It is like living with someone whose movements you know so well that their presence never surprises you. For a human being, that familiarity is pleasant. For a cat, it is essential. The chosen person is almost always the one whose behavior has formed a pattern the cat learned to read before deciding to trust. Not grand gestures, consistent repetition. And here's a mistake many owners make without realizing it. During periods of stress, change, or chaotic living, the way they interact with their cat shifts. It becomes irregular, unpredictable, and the cat registers that variation the same way they would register any other threat to their environment. Not resentment. Map update feline trust is built through repetition over time, not through grand demonstrations on a single day. Think about your own cat for a moment. Is there one person in the house they gravitate toward consistently, even when nobody is actively seeking their attention? Tell me in the comments. More often than not, it is the person with the most predictable routine, and almost nobody ever notices that connection. The sound of your voice. Third point, the sound of your voice. The one thing almost no video on this subject ever really addresses. Cats do not process language the way we do. They do not understand words in the sense that we do, but they read rhythm, volume, and the emotional tension carried inside a sound with a precision that should surprise us far more than it does. Think about this. Two people say the exact same sentence to a cat. One voice is tight, quick, carrying the stress of a difficult day inside it. The other is calm, familiar, steady. To the cat, that is not the same message. It is not even the same person. Research on vocal perception in domestic cats shows that cats distinguish their owner's voice with high precision and display differentiated behavioral responses. Not to the words, to the sound, to the energy the sound carries with it. The chosen person is often the one whose voice has become a safe sound inside the home. Not the sweetest voice, not the loudest, the most recognizable, the most consistent with itself over time. And here is something most owners never consider. The cat is listening even when you are not talking to them. They register the tone of your phone calls, the volume of difficult conversations, the tension in the room after a hard day. They are not understanding the words. They are measuring the safety level of the environment. What this means in your daily life with your cat is concrete. The next time you speak to them, think less about what you are saying. Think about the rhythm, the steadiness, the consistency between what you feel inside and what you are transmitting outward. That coherence is exactly what they are trying to measure. Your body as a safe place. Fourth point, the body as a safe zone. This is the emotional center of everything we have covered so far. When a cat chooses a person, something precise happens. They start using that person's body as a physical reference point in space. They sleep near them. They sit with their back to the room, which is one of the deepest trust signals in feline ethology, because it means they have stopped monitoring the environment. They follow that person from room to room, not to ask for anything, but simply to stay connected to that fixed point on their map. And they return to that person when something frightens them. That last one is the most important. Research on attachment in domestic cats, particularly studies that have adapted Bowlby's attachment model to felines, indicates that roughly 64% of domestic cats develop a secure attachment style with at least one preferred human. They use that person as a safe base from which to explore and to which they return under stress. Think about what this means in concrete terms. When your cat comes back to you after being startled by a sudden noise, they are not doing it out of habit. They are not doing it because you happen to be there. They are doing it because you are the safest point in their world at that moment. For an animal evolutionarily built to trust very few things, that is enormous. They do not need to do anything. And here is the part that almost no video covers. A cat does not only choose the person who makes them feel loved. They choose the person who does not force them to perform. This is the mechanism that makes the real difference. Domestic cats constantly modulate their behavior based on the level of safety they perceive. With people they are not fully comfortable around, they maintain active vigilance, present but monitoring, close but ready. With the chosen person, that vigilance drops completely. They sleep belly up, not because they want to be touched, but because they do not feel the need to protect themselves. They sit nearby without requesting attention because that person's presence is already enough. They do not need to do anything at all. It is the equivalent of being with someone around whom you do not need to hold any kind of mask. You do not need to be interesting. You do not need to be performatively present. You can simply exist. A cat who appears to be completely ignoring you, lying relaxed beside you in silence, is not ignoring you. They are telling you that you are safe enough not to require active attention, not indifference, total trust. The signs you have already seen. The signals that your cat has chosen you are never dramatic. They are quiet, everyday, very easy to miss if you do not know what you are looking at. They watch you before falling asleep. They follow you without asking for anything. They accept your presence even when they do not want to be touched. They show their belly near you, not as an invitation for contact, but as a declaration that you have registered no threat. They come to find you when something frightens them. They show you vulnerable behaviors they show no one else. None of these signals alone gives you absolute certainty, but when several of them appear together, they are telling you something precise. Your cat is not simply tolerating you, they are regulating themselves around you. That is the deepest choice a domestic cat is capable of making. Think about the last behavior your cat did that you could not explain, an unexpected approach, a moment they came to find you for no obvious reason. Now that you know what you are looking at, does it read differently? Leave it in the comments. These stories change the way other owners read their own cats too. The most common mistakes, the mistakes that destroy this trust, are almost never large ones. They are small, repeated, and that is exactly what makes them the most dangerous. Picking the cat up without their consent, even with the best intentions. Following them when they move away instead of letting them go. Touching their belly simply because it is exposed, without reading the full context around it. Using a sharp or sudden tone after a behavior the cat produced from fear, not from aggression. Most cats do not stop trusting someone after a single mistake. They stop trusting when the same mistake repeats itself often enough to become a stable data point on the map. Not resentment, map update. The mechanism we described at the beginning works in both directions. The good news is exactly this. The same mechanism that erodes trust builds it when used in the right direction. Consistent, predictable, respectful behavior repeated over time. Not quickly, but solidly. Your body does not forget 10 years of serious training after 2 weeks of rest. A cat does not forget months of built trust after a single mistake. Consistency beats perfection every time. The human a cat chooses is not always the one who does the most. It is the one who makes the cat feel most like themselves, not trapped, not pressured, not misunderstood, just safe. And when a cat chooses you in that quiet way, when they follow you without asking for anything, when they come back to you after a scare, when they fall asleep with their back to the world and their face turned in your direction, it may not look like much from the outside, but in their world, it is one of the deepest compliments they know how to give.